Okay, come.
What's up, guys? NandemoGuy. It's time for another project. I am back here in the States, and since I got back here to the States, my daughter is walking and crawling and screaming and everything else. And so here in my office, I used to just have this curtain that I'd pull across for privacy. But that ain't gonna cut it anymore. I'm gonna put up a wall. I'm gonna show you how to, this is a raised subfloor, but I'm gonna show you how to build the wall, put in a door. It's going to be great. NandemoGuy project, build a wall in your basement. Here we go. First, we want to use our utility knife on external corners to expose the nails. This tool is called the cat's claw. It's designed for pulling out nails. Stick one end in there, and hammer it in. Pull out the nails really easy. Let's give it a try. Alright, so now that we have our edging off, we need to pull off whatever's on here. It looks like there's at least one layer of drywall. So we're going to pull that off to make room for the door. Alright, so now we got our opening all cleared out. Next thing we're going to do is measure the width of our door, mark it down here on the floor, and then we're going to cut our carpet so we can put our wall up. Yeah! Sorry about that delay, but I had to clean up. It was starting to drive me crazy. So next, the easiest way to measure this is we're just going to lay the door down in the frame here. About something like that. Now we can measure that gap right there and start to build our wall. And then one other thing we need to do is we need to expose the floor so we can nail our wall down. So we're going to cut it up to the door. Now if we were going to be cutting the whole width of the carpet, you want to take some 2x4s and screw them into the floor so that the carpet wouldn't stretch out, or rather unstretch. But since we're not doing the whole width, it's still going to be connected where the door is going to close. We don't have to worry too much about that. Alright, now that we got our frame cut down to size, we're going to go ahead and stand it up and get a feel for how long our wall needs to be for sure. Well, let's go ahead and lay out our top plate and our base plate for our studs. We're going to do 16 inches on center, which in the US is standard. So here we go. Next, we want to measure the height of our wall. One thing that we need to consider is because we have a base plate and a top plate, we need to subtract 3 inches from the total height to figure out our stud length. For anybody who has not built things before, a 2x4 is not actually 2 inches by 4 inches. It's actually 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So that's the calculation we're going to use. So now we're going to go ahead and lay out our wall on our floor and get ready to nail it together. Next we use our nail gun and nail it all together. Now we'll go ahead and make sure it's all level. Alright, so now we need to figure out if the wall is straight, or rather square. The way we're going to do that is using 3, 4, 5 Pythagorean theorem. Measure 3 feet out on one side, 4 feet out on the other side, and it should be 5 feet between the 2 points. So that's what we're going to do now. And that's it right there, so we're going to go ahead and nail down to the floor. Alright, so we need our door height to be 78 1/4. As you can see, we cut into the hollow of the door, so we're going to bust this apart, take out the block, and put that in there. Get my knife and clean up this edge and we'll put it in. So we got it to work after all. You see the bottom of the door there? Got the block back in it. Let it sit for a little bit, and we'll go put it inside the house. Finishing nail gun, and we'll nail up this door. Alright, now that we've got our door shimmed into place, we're going to go ahead and nail it up. Now we get to straighten everything out, make sure it's all plumb, level, and all that business. Alright, so we got our wall stood up. What we're going to do now, you can see I put on the gang boxes for the light switch and the outlet I'm going to be installing. We're going to drill some holes and run some wires. Alright, now because I'm moving the light switch from outside the office to the inside of the office, we went ahead and shut off the breakers for that outlet. We're going to take this apart and see if the wires run down or if they run up. My guess is that they run down, but we're going to find out. Okay, so we're pretty much going to have to take off a section of drywall here also in order to we're going to have to drill another hole in the floor to run a wire down, over, and then back up. So that's what we're going to do. See, I missed my mark here a little bit, but that's alright. I can just hammer another 2x4 on there and tie into that. Yeah, very, very interesting. I don't know what the hell this is about. You can't just cut a fucking 2x4 like that and run a wire through it. Granted, I'm sure there's a beam over here that actually supports, or rather a post that supports the main beam, but this should not be done. Actually, I can see there's another 2x4 on the other side, so it might actually be alright, but it's just freaking goofy the way they did that. I honestly don't know what they were doing. But either way, we're going to run a wire down straight here, under the floor, up over the top, and that's what we're going to do. Alright, if you remember my network wiring video, we're going to be heading back down into the crawl space here to drill some holes and run some wires. Alrighty. Let's see how many spiders we see this time around. Spiders! Are there any spiders down here? Alright, so I replaced the original 2-gang box with a single gang with a little space here for my extra wire nuts and whatnot. We will run a wire down, across, or down through the floor, across over here, and up into this light switch for the light. We will also run one down and across, and to that outlet right there. It's nice to have a helper when trying to push wires. Alright, so we got the switch wired up. Wire runs down into the baseboard there and across. We just have one more thing to wire up here and we will be ready to turn the power back on. And there we go. I got this, like I said, the larger gang box. I could tuck all my wire nuts back in here. This switch is actually, I need to turn it over because as you can see I put it on, maybe if I switch this you can see. Put it on upside down. As you can see, the characters are upside down. So right now off is on, but I will change that. You can also see that this switch now works right there, and I just use that to run the vacuum to clean up so my wife doesn't kill me. So next is putting up drywall. We will start that tomorrow because I'm pretty tired today. Yes, indeed. Alright, so I lied. I felt like getting the drywall at least cut and stood up. So that's what we're going to do. Already marked it out, 80 inches. And now I'm just going to use a square and a yardstick and mark it up and cut it. The nice thing about drywall is you don't have to cut all the way through it. You just have to get a good start on it, and then you can snap it. So that's what we're going to do right now. And then just fold it back like this and snap it. You get a good idea of where it's going to stand. Now we can actually mark it from the other side. Alright, so I marked roughly where my 2x4s are. It's actually much closer than it is rough. Now we will measure starting from the bottom of the wall up to the bottom and up to the top, and then we can make our cut from there. We'll do the same on the light switch. And there we go. There's one. Moment of truth. Stand this up and see if I cut them right. Now I am worried about this switch right here because the bottom and the top of the actual switch plate stick out a little bit further. We'll see if I can get it closed up. We'll see. Alright, so as you can see, I mismeasured. This is good because I can actually show you how to fix this issue. what I did was I measured the edge of my 2x4, which is right about here, and then being the bonehead that I am, I assumed that that was this edge of the 2x4, so I marked it over 1.5 inches, and then I cut from there, which was obviously a mistake. This is the piece that I cut from this side. We're simply going to move it over to here, but what we're going to have to do first is put a piece of wood back behind here, screw it at the top and the bottom, and then we can just simply set this right back into place. Now I will have to shave this down just a little bit, but it will fit, I promise. So something like that. Now that I have it fitted, I can go ahead and tie it in. So the first thing I'm going to do is tie the wall into place just a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, I've screwed a 2x4, just a little scrap 2x4, to the back of this wall here. And now we will just take our little piece and put it into place. And a little spackle will conceal everything. There you go. Look what I did. I get so tied up in these projects I forget to take video. I went ahead and already taped and started mudding this wall, and didn't get any footage of it. Luckily, I have a whole other wall to do, which has not been taped or mudded. So I'm going to show you how to do that on this wall. Really, there's not much difference in what I did, obviously. I just had to go around the light switch, but yeah, not that much different. So I do need to go buy some more mud, so I'll do that, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to tape a seam. Here we go. Let's go stand out in the hailstorm. Hailstorm. Alright, so for taping, you're going to need some paper, or they make fiberglass mesh tape also that has this sticky stuff on it. You can use that. And you need some spackle, and that's to do the job. You're also going to need the spackling knife and some scissors. You're also going to need a pail of water. You're going to need to soak the tape. I'll show you how to do that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to measure this seam over here, cut our piece of tape, and start that soaking while we go ahead and prep the wall. So let's do that. Simple as that. Now we'll go ahead and start mudding our wall. Now one thing we want to do is make sure that we've got a clean area. So as you can see, these little sections right here, we need to pop those off, and we'll just scrape those with a knife. They should just come off really easy. You also need to dig out this corner so that our tape is going to sit on there nicely. I'll probably pound that nail in also and clean this up a little bit. So we're going to do. And when you're taping these up, or rather prepping for the tape, you don't have to get a whole lot of spackle on the wall, but you want enough. We're actually going to be doing is squeezing out the spackle, or the joint compound, from underneath the tape when we put the tape on. You just want to make sure that you've got enough on your edges, so you actually got something that you're going to be able to squeeze out. So I don't even have to worry about trying to fill that entire gap, because the tape is going to be reinforced by the dried joint compound, and good to go. Alright, now that we've got our seam prepped with spackle or joint compound, we need to squeeze the water, not squeeze the water out, but we're just going to take our tape and kind of put it between our fingers and run it like that to get the excess moisture off. Just like that. And now we're going to go over and we're going to apply it on our wall. Now the mud will hold it in place pretty well. So you don't have to worry too much about that. Just get it on there as best you can. And now, just hold the tape up at the top and you just want to go over the edges like this. And it will squeeze out whatever joint compound is right underneath that edge. You don't have to push too hard. You just want to get it set, and you're going to do that for both edges. This is just making sure that it's pressed up against the wall, basically. And that's it for that. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these seams, and we'll catch back up after that. There we go. We have all of our seams taped up. We've got our screw holes covered over. So now we will wait for that to dry, and then we will keep going over it consistently with larger spackling knives, with sanding any high spots down in between until we get at least about 6 inches on either side of the seam. In this case, obviously only the one seam spackled, and that's to blend it in as well as we can. So we will go ahead and watch the paint dry, as it were. Alright, so we finally got all the spackle done. As you can see, quite a bit was required up here in order to float out the difference from the original wall to the new wall. It looks like a lot, but there really was not that much of a difference in the wall. But in order to float that out so it didn't show up, obviously took about almost 24 inches there. But anyway, so that's that. We got the wall inside the office is also finished. I'm going to put down some tack strip now for the carpet. And then I've got to go check into renting the gun for applying the knockdown texture on the wall. And then really all that's left after that is paint and baseboards and door casing. So our spray tool says it needs to be kind of compound, about the consistency of pancake batter. I think I've got it about there. So let's see if we can spray this and see how it goes. Alright, now we gotta let it dry for a little bit, and then we will knock it down with our blade. And there we have our knockdown texture. Let's get a look at it. You can see it matches. It's a little harder to see on the painted side, but There you go. Alright, so we got texture in the office. Outside the office, we'll remove the light switch from. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is basically finished. The only thing that's left is paint and doing some caulking, a little bit of finish work, but there you go. Obviously needs paint, the texture work. Got the door casing around the door. Got the baseboards in. I don't have the covers on yet because I'm going to paint first, obviously. But replace that one there. Let's go out into here. Ignore my mess of tools there. Texture, door casing, floorboards. Texture here as well, where I had to get rid of the double and put it and replace it with just a single. And I need to actually switch this over because it's backwards. But yeah, aside from that, this project is finished. You know, I'm no professional. I've done some some do-it-yourself at-home work myself in the past. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't take any real hard effort, I don't think. There wasn't much to it, just putting a wall in. So hopefully this was something that's interesting for everybody. Hopefully somebody gained something out of it, learned something about spraying texture or, you know, framing a wall or something. But NandemoGuy, keep an eye on the page for more projects. They've got more good stuff coming up. Obviously stuff from Japan and just random stuff altogether. That's what I'm about. So NandemoGuy.